Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about having Sagittarius on the 7th house cusp in a natal chart. Now, I think first conclusion I come to on this is that Sagittarius on the 7th house, well, this could indicate somebody that attracts exuberant, buoyant, philosophical, perhaps significant other. This person may inject a lot of exuberance and enthusiasm into their relationships and even partnership situations. This could be somebody that perhaps marries somebody that might be a foreigner, has a different religious background or different ethnic background. Even perhaps this person finds their significant other through long distance traveling, going to another country. Many of this person's relationships may have a religion that figures prominently in them. Perhaps they form many relationships with people in their congregation, people that share their same religious beliefs and philosophies. There may be a very expansive and buoyant outlook on partnerships and their relationships as well. This could be a person that has a certain amount of freedom that is required in their relationship. They may like to do a lot of long distance traveling and go on expeditions, long distance journeys with their significant other. The 7th house also governs open adversaries and enemies. And on the positive side is that Sagittarius ruled by Jupiter. This is a fortuitous sign and planet, and this could indicate somebody that has fortune in emerging victorious constantly over open adversaries or enemies. But at the same time, I look at Jupiter, and many of you may have heard this in previous videos, that I see Jupiter as kind of paradoxical, and it could also indicate that perhaps this person accumulates a number of open adversaries during the course of their life, but luckily ruled by Jupiter may emerge victorious in at least many of these situations. Now, Sagittarius, we look at the 7th house, and the 7th house is also, it's connected with contracts and negotiations. And the thing about this is that with contracts and negotiations, Sagittarius generally doesn't do things in small doses. This could be somebody that gets involved in a number, a plethora or abundance of contracts and negotiations. Perhaps negotiations and contracts, they may be connected maybe with Sagittarian-like things such as athletics, sports, things that are connected with the outdoors. Perhaps for I guess you can kind of look at it like a mobile home, for example. Somebody that a mobile home is something where we do, I guess, a lot of traveling with. So, I mean, that's just one example. Things that are connected perhaps with campgrounds, or things that are connected with perhaps long distance traveling, maybe sports equipment, a sports related company, for example, could be example as far as contracts and negotiations go. And we'll look at Sagittarius. Sometimes Sagittarius, despite being a sign that is intellectual and can be prophetic and has a lot of foresight, at times that's a sign, as much as I want to say this, it can be a little bit naive. So the person in matters connected with contracts and negotiations must be very assiduous and careful, and make sure they're scrutinizing as far as the fine print goes in this, because there might be a very strong exuberance and expansiveness involved in these contracts and negotiations, and they might really be enthused about it, but they have to also make sure that everything is copacetic and kosher, and that the things that are stated in the contract are legitimate, and that they are getting what they're signing up for, and so to speak. So that corresponds with what was promised to them. So we look at this as well, and Sagittarius on the 7th house cusp, and the 7th house also governs, we could say, the litigation, and we look at the legalities, and this could represent people that they wind up going to combat with in court situations. Now, Could it be possible maybe this person is in court over something maybe connected with religion? Could it be somebody that go up against people that are somehow affiliated with sports, athletics, uh, people that are college professors, people that have this philosophical, buoyant outlook, that are very perhaps that are very blunt and outspoken and regarding their opinions. They might be that may go up against, look at Jupiter in Sagittarius, and as I stated before, doesn't do things in small doses, where this position can indicate where it's possibly very fortuitous in as far as things that are connected with litigation and going against people in a courtroom. This could also be something where Jupiter and Sagittarius, they can enlarge these things as well. So that's something to look at with Sagittarius on the cusp of the 7th house in one's natal chart. Could the person maybe even go up against people that are strongly associated with the law in some isolated cases? That could be possible as well, because Sagittarius is connected with this in Jupiter. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for having Sagittarius on the 7th house cusp in a natal chart. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about having Capricorn on the 7th house cusp in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.